This phone is absolutely world class. It ticks all the boxes, it even gives you more than you'd even expect from a device like this. And it manages to come in at a price I'd even consider half reasonable for what you actually get. And that might be controversial, but I want to talk about my new outright favourite phone because it's an absolute peach. I've already covered the Xiaomi 17 Ultra and the Vivo X300 Ultra on this channel, but now it's time for the final piece of the puzzle. The Oppo Find X9 Ultra. It completes for me the holy trinity of ultra high-end smartphones. It does it in style. By the way, I'd really appreciate it if you'd hit subscribe. It's like 30 something degrees in this room. I live in the attic and oh yeah, a sub would go a long way. If you know me, you'll be expecting me to dive straight into the cameras, which is exactly what I'm gonna do. Much like the Xiaomi 15 Ultra that I checked out last year, this looks like a camera phone with its faux leather rubbery back and Hasselblad stamp to hark back to the classic cameras that wore that same badge. There's, as always is to be expected with one of these, a massive camera bump on the back housing 4 sensors. A 200 megapixel 1/1.12 inch 23mm camera, a 200 megapixel 1/1.28 inch 70mm 3x camera, a 50 megapixel half-inch ultra-wide camera, the sensor of which shares a lot of specifications with the OnePlus 12's ultra-wide, and a 50 megapixel 1/2.75 inch 10x camera for, you know, just those crazy long shots as well, with a 50 megapixel 1/2.75 inch selfie shooter to round out the bunch. Oh, and this Photography Explorer kit is also available if you want to add a 300mm lens to the mix, and we will talk about that in a minute. Because I researched a lot about this phone before my Android police colleague Andy Boxall lent it to me for review. And I knew about the master mode, the colour processing option in the main app that lets you shoot with colour science that's sort of meant to replicate what Hasselblad does on its big cameras. Its aim is to take out that digital artificial sharpening look, take out the oversaturation, the unnatural HDR stuff that we've become so used to out of basically every other smartphone camera. And in practice, it offers photos that look incredible. As a photography geek, these cameras for me are by far and away the best ever put in a smartphone. Partly because of their massive sensors, which are definitely larger than what you'd expect from Apple, Google and Samsung, even in their very best phones, but also because of master mode, the color processing. Without the Hasselblad color processing, I really don't think I would rank this as highly, because I've seen that despite the Vivo X300 Ultra coming with maybe even better sensors than this across the board, it couldn't nail the processing in a way that this does. Call it subjective, personal preference, whatever you want, but for me, this is the most natural looking camera ever put into a smartphone that's also capable of all the stuff we love. High resolution stills, high-end Ultra HD 4K 120p video, 8K shooting, and so on. To say I've thoroughly enjoyed taking photos with this phone would be an absolute understatement. It is simply the pinnacle. The colours are natural, the contrast remains really neutral, which is something I wish more phones did. The HDR has been pulled back so shadows aren't just cranked up to 11, though I guess the main complaint I have with sensors this big, and it's a trade-off that I'm happy to live with by the way, is that sometimes the phone will grab focus on something just in front of or behind where you want your focus to be. So for example, when I took photos of my guy Lenny here, his nose would be pin sharp, but his eyes would be slightly blurry. And this can be fixed by simply touching to focus in the app and it will switch to where you want to go. But it automatically locked onto the wrong thing, and it's something that you need to be aware of if you're not used to cameras that have such big sensors. Because with smaller sensors, there's a larger depth of field, which means you're more likely to get pinpoint accuracy with your autofocus. As good as the video capture is, in my opinion, it's not as great as the Vivo X300 Ultra, S26 Ultra or iPhone 17 Pro Max for me. This is perhaps maybe the one area where the phone could do with a little upgrade. Honestly, it's still fantastic, it still takes very good looking video footage, but it's worth noting if you're planning on maybe buying this to shoot some sort of pro video, I would recommend either the Vivo, which does things particularly well, or something like an iPhone that shoots ProRes. Samsung's S26 Ultra shoots fantastic video too, but I just don't think the sensors can compete with the Vivo. But thanks to Andy, I was also able to check out the Oppo 300mm lens attachment. And yeah, it's massive. Not the sort of thing that I would be carrying around with me on a daily basis, And I did feel like a bit of a dork with this thing. It also made it basically impossible to be discreet. But the shots that it took, well, holy moly. I've always been the kind of guy that prefers a nice long telephoto over a main camera, and that's exactly why I love Chinese ultra phones so much. But with this, you get 300mm zoom, and it's able to capture images that you simply are not able to capture with a £1,200 Galaxy Ultra. Like, sure, you could technically get the shot with that phone, but it could not replicate the clarity, the focus depth, just not possible without this massive lens. The only problem is this lens comes in what Oppo calls the Explorer kit, which is sold out everywhere, and when you do see it for sale, it's 700 quid. That's ludicrous money. That's more than a telephoto lens for a big camera. Not something I'd consider buying whatsoever, but to play around with for an afternoon or a week, well, that was a hell of an experience. I want to stress that the color processing is doing as much of the heavy lifting here as those massive sensors on the back. I would say it's a 50-50. Oppo absolutely cooked with this one. And even without the Explorer kit, just using the cameras that are on here, you're still able to take crazy long zoom shots that look fantastic and not generally over-processed. I'm absolutely devastated that I have to hand this back to Andy next week because I want to hold on to it forever. It's just wonderful. The natural looking photos are particularly important to me because at present, we become so used to seeing AI process this and slop that it's refreshing to use a smartphone camera that offers world-class imaging hardware, but that takes back that over-processing. Bravo Oppo, you really have my round of applause here. I guess I've set the bar quite high with this camera to talk about the rest of the phone, but to be totally honest, it is built for photography enthusiasts. That isn't to say the rest of the phone is useless though. For one, it has an over 7,000 mAh battery. That's enough for 2 to 3 days on a charge and will top up at 100 watts over a wire too, which is usually added as a bonus gift when ordering the phone from the official Oppo store. And speaking of, £1,450 is a lot of money, and it will likely just put people off from the start. They will not entertain how good a phone this is. They'll see the price, either not want to pay it or just not be able to shell out that much money for a phone. Since you get the 6 years of software support, this phone is stacked out of the box as well in terms of its hardware. I would actually pay that amount of money with the idea of keeping it for 6 years. I think it's worth it if you're looking for this particular kind of hardware because you're just not going to get it from anywhere else. And you're probably likely to get it on sort of a finance deal, which can make things a little easier to stomach. The problem actually becomes, it's a bit of a paradox, people who want the best smartphones will just upgrade every year and justify a £1,500 phone every 12 months. Despite my passion for mobile photography, I don't think I could stomach that personally. Speaking of stomaching things, I never used to love the software packages coming out of China. Be that on a Xiaomi, a Huawei, Oppo, Honor, Realme or Vivo. But truth be told, I don't mind ColorOS here because it's, becomes so similar to the Oxygen OS that I use on a daily basis and have used for the last couple of years. I actually haven't stopped using the OnePlus Open, by the way, if you can believe that. I still use that every single day. The Find X9 Ultra though is running Android 16 on ColorOS, and as I mentioned before, is going to be supported pretty well over half a decade, which I think is pretty decent. As I've said before, software talk sort of sends me to sleep, so I'll finish off the software section by saying that this isn't my favourite flavour of Android, but it's also not bad. It's not enough to put me off using an Oppo phone whatsoever, as it hasn't been to put me off the OnePlus phones that I use all the time. The Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 5, 12GB of RAM and 512GB of UFS 4.1 storage that I have in this model here, it makes the phone rapid. I also used Oppo's performance setting when playing games where basically everything is cranked up to 100, and every single game I threw at this phone, it just handled it with ease. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not a hardcore mobile gamer, never have been, probably never will be, but never say never. But if you were, and you were maybe concerned that this couldn't keep up, well, I wouldn't be concerned whatsoever. This is one of the fastest phones I've ever used, which is something you certainly feel a good amount with the 144Hz screen. Now, most high-end smartphones are 120Hz, but I'm not sure you'll be able to feel a massive difference in refresh rate. Like, I personally couldn't feel a jump between 120 and 144 in a mobile phone application. But given that you can also run the display in 144Hz at Quad HD Plus, the screen performance on offer here is colossal, it's massive. Also gets ridiculously bright. It's an elite level panel that is perhaps a strong anti-glare coating away from being one of the very best in a phone. I still prefer the color tuning of the Pixel 10 Pro series. Actually, I think that Google's Pixel panels have probably been the best displays in smartphones for 2, maybe even 3 years now. But I'm also not complaining about the one in the Oppo. It is superb. Though I do have a couple of complaints. Crazy, I know just how much I have glazed this phone over the course of this video, but here goes. So the camera control knockoff, Oppo calls it the quick button, kept activating accidentally when I was out taking photos. Just incredibly annoying because it would sort of bring me either below 3 times or just above it, and I was trying to get it dead on. By dropping below 3 times, it goes to 2.9, you're cropping in on the main sensor, it's not going to look as good. So I did eventually find out how to turn it off, and it was an annoying process, but one that I really did have to do. Honestly, I just hate the camera control idea, it's just not for me. Also, turning the alert slider into a custom button, why did you do this, Oppo and OnePlus? It's not the worst thing in the world, I'd much rather have this than the camera control thing, but I just prefer the slider. Neither of these are a big enough deal for me to not buy this phone whatsoever. I just disabled the camera control thing, but they're just things that I think should be better on a phone that costs this much money. Oppo, having launched this as their debut Ultra model in Europe, is exciting, but it also puts it in contention with the Vivo X300 Ultra, which costs a couple of £100 more than this, and the Xiaomi 17 Ultra, which costs a couple of £100 under it. This sort of sits in the middle. If I had to rank them, I'd probably put the Xiaomi at the top, this in the middle, and the Vivo at the bottom. But to be totally honest, that almost entirely comes down to the price. So if we take that variable out, I do think this probably sits right next to the Xiaomi, with the Vivo coming in a little under. And by the way, I am going to have a video on this channel soon comparing all three, so stay tuned for that. I love the authentic look that Xiaomi offers, but master mode on the Oppo Find X9 Ultra is just another level for me. Is it worth the price jump? Well, that's going to depend on you, I think. Is it worth it over an iPhone 17 Pro Max, Pixel 10 Pro XL, or Galaxy S26 Ultra? Well, as long as you know what you're after, and that what you're after is camera and battery performance, then absolutely yes. I mean, if I was going to spend £1,200 on one of those, I'd spend the extra £250 and get this thing. Genuinely, I would. I honestly cannot remember the last time I was so excited about the prospect of using a new smartphone, and then for it to actually match expectations and maybe even exceed them a bit. I know it's a lot of praise for something that ultimately should be good because it costs a ridiculous amount of money, but anyone who's watched my videos will know that these aren't really reviews so much as they are just ways that I can express myself in my interests and passion for tech. Me trying out stuff, getting really excited about it, and then sharing it on the internet. The Oppo Find X9 Ultra is truly deserving of that moniker. A phone that pushes the hardware and pulls back the software to offer cameras that are, in my opinion, completely unmatched on a smartphone. Its insane battery, superb display, and crazy spec sheet help round out the experience, completing what I believe to be the best phone you can buy right now.